Our tale today begins here, in this sort of fabulous vision of a city. Its name was Ayutthaya. It is a floating city, and it was built on an artificial island carved out from the river. The Siamese, like the Dutch, were experts at river engineering and working with water. And they carved these very intricate lattice of canals through the capital city. Bangkok was built in the image of Ayutthaya. Like its predecessor, it was built on an artificial island, carved from the river, the Chao Phraya, through a system of canals. The mainland Chao Phraya, which translates into the River of Kings. For more than 700 years, the kings of Siam have been building their palaces right on the banks of this river. So King Mongkut was succeeded by his son, King Chulalongkorn, or Rama V, and being the first Siamese king to receive a Western education, he was a very, very modern and very, very energetic monarch. He was also a very shrewd diplomat. In 1897 and again in 1907, Chulalongkorn would make a series of 2 grand tours of Europe. He would sort of whisk through 14 countries on official state visits to his counterparts. And the grand tours evidently were a very calculated charm offensive. Wherever he went, he presented himself as this sort of immaculately dressed European gentleman in his bespoke sort of fine suits, surrounded by his equally dressed sons. In style, the Grand Palace was actually very, very eclectic. You can see here. It had been added to successively by each of the kings of the Chakri dynasty, who were variously influenced by Chinese or European architecture, cultural styles, resulting in an overall mixed architectural style. There was the Khmer, Siamese, there was the European and also some bits of Chinese architecture thrown in. And then there's this, which is the Chakri Mahaprasad. It is the main throne hall of the palace, and it's kind of the crowning glory of the entire complex. And very fittingly, it was commissioned by King Chulalongkorn in 1882. Here it is, in the late 1800s, probably about 10 years old. And it consists of a European-style foundation and a Siamese roof. Again, a sort of mixed mestizo architecture. So again, what this means is that, in effect, the most symbolically important of all the ancestral lands of Cambodia, Angkor and its surrounds, actually remained in Siamese hands rather than Cambodian hands. And here is King Sisowath himself. Despite his age, he wasn't one to be underestimated. In 1906, just 2 years after he was crowned, he made the unprecedented move of being the first Cambodian sitting king to ever leave the country. And where he went to was France that autumn in order to pay a visit to the colonial exposition in Marseille and to do a bit of a charm offensive as well, like his counterpart and probably his nemesis, King Chulalongkorn, had done. His arrival in Paris caused quite a stir. The newspapers and tabloids alike have splashed images of him all over the front pages. That's him right there. And the Parisians, who were initially very skeptical of this very exotic person, were entirely won over by him, Sa Majesté, le roi du Cambodge. We insist on the ancient natural limits of the Khmer Kingdom, which before the Siamese invasion included the Siamese side of the border, presently the provinces of Battambang, Siam Reap, etc., etc. The richest provinces of Cambodia are precisely those of Battambang and Siam Reap. In the latter province, the ruins of our kingdom's old and powerful capital still stand. They are brilliant proof of the grandeur of our ancestors. These 2 provinces, just like the others, were never given to Siam by any of my predecessors. While the Grand Palace in Bangkok was built by the Siamese, the Cambodian Royal Palace was actually commissioned and built by the French. And while the Grand Palace actually featured a very eclectic diversity of architectural styles that reflected the openness and the tolerance of the Siamese kings, the Cambodian Royal Palace was very self-consciously designed in the quote-unquote traditional Khmer style that in reality the French had actually very helpfully quote-unquote revived or concocted on behalf of the Cambodians. In the royal palaces, Wat Pakeo also there is an epic mural of the Ramayana that's known as the Riamka in Cambodia. I just feel that there is far more sort of fire and personality in the characters that are depicted as compared to the ones in Bangkok, which are a bit more classical and a bit more stylized. They are literally riddled with bullet holes from the Khmer Rouge era, and some of the paint is fallen off. So it all kind of makes for a rather tragic and evocative ensemble.